20 miles north and south of here in Silicon Valley, everybody knows and understands the role that technology can play in empowerment. And so very few initiatives that we've focused on using technology as something that can be empowering and can get people engaged in diplomacy and development in ways that weren't, the case historically. One example, there was, in the hours after the earthquake in Haiti, there are these fantastic women who work in the innovation space at the State Department, and they got the idea in the hours that followed the earthquake that, hey, tomorrow morning, when people wake up and are having their morning coffee and they've heard about what happened in Haiti, we should be able to do something so that those people hearing about this for the first time over that morning cup of coffee can do something right then. And so what they did is they worked with the private sector at the Secretary's direction to immediately stand up a program so that people who texted the word Haiti to a short code 90999 could donate $10 for earthquake relief. And at the time, we thought, hey, maybe we'll raise a couple $100,000. If everything breaks right, wow, we might be able to raise $1 million, and that would be of a truly historic nature. And what happened was this campaign became viral over social media, over the Twitter sphere, in social media space, in other social media spaces. And once it became viral, in the days immediately after the campaign, in social media spaces, it was then adopted by the mainstream media. And eventually more than 3 million Americans chose to use their cell phones to make a $10 donation, and more than $30 million was raised for earthquake relief in Haiti. Another example of the kind of 21st century statecraft that Secretary Clinton is leading is an example south of our border here in Mexico. As I'm sure many of you are all too familiar with, the drug cartel-fueled violence in Mexico is completely out of control. It's a disaster. Far too many people are dying, especially at border towns like Ciudad Juarez. And one of the things that the Secretary of State and our ambassador to Mexico, Carlos Pascual, said is, we need to take a new and innovative approach to this. Let's get some people from Silicon Valley to help us think through in creative ways what we could do differently, what is something new we could do. And so I and others were deployed down to Mexico to meet with the President's cabinet, to meet with people like Carlos Slim, to meet with leaders from civil society. And our goal was to come back with one idea that could help reduce crime in Mexico. And so we came up with a program that is likely going to launch sometime in the fall, based on what we learned down there, which was that the Mexican citizens themselves will no longer report crime, by and large, because they're afraid that if they walk up the literal or proverbial steps of the station house to report crime, they're going to get found out and will therefore be in danger. One of the things we learned while we were down there is everybody, even in the lowest income barrios in places like Ciudad Juarez, they all have cell phones and they all text message like crazy. So we've set up a program where people are going to be able to anonymously text message, and I could explain how that works, but that's not the best use of this time. Just take for granted I'm telling the truth. People will be able to anonymously text message crime reports that will then compel the security forces to be on site within 10 minutes. So what we're trying to do with this program is to restore anonymity, transparency, and accountability back into crime fighting in Mexico. And we don't yet know if that'll work, just like when we launched the Text Haiti program. We didn't know what the results for that will be, but we're very hopeful.